You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the December 14, 2022 meeting of the LaPorte County Redevelopment Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
We're going to call it the LaPorte County Redevelopment Commission meeting for Wednesday, December 14th, 2022 at 4 p.m. to order. If everybody please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please. Present. 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 I think Scott's on. Scott's on. Connie said she was zooming in too, but not yet. Present.
Scott Cooley is present.
Thank you. Approval of tonight's agenda. I'd like to make a motion to approve the following changes under 11 business F, G, H, and I'll second that motion. Is there any other questions, comments, or additions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Next public comment. Anybody from the public? Anybody from the public?
Good evening. Evening, Commissioner Joe Haney. Just as a friendly suggestion, perhaps I know you guys normally meet on the end of the month. Perhaps having a organizational meeting slightly earlier in the month may not be a bad idea. Just to I see pull some of those contract things off there, but just to keep a continuation, perhaps after whatever the appropriate time span would be after the council commission both reconstitutes. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Public comment is now closed. Communications?
822, auditor request for treasurer report, the Federal Dispatch Claims and Allowances publication. We now have the request number 8 for number 9, USI Mechanic, request number 7, review and signature and file. Picked up POs from artist and president from the auditor's office. Submitted email for request number 7 to the U.S. Bank auditor's office. Their December automated PO NTR. The fund for 421 utility projects, I-94, 35 importance. The funding, waste management agreement. Picked up the auditor, U.S. Bank statements, 421 bond payment for the industry for vendor 421 tip on schedule, mailed to the auditor. NTR vendor. J. Thomas and Associates, Freedman Servicement Agreements. Bishop, 2023 RDC transfer planner for the payroll. RDC attorney review draft resolutions. Barnes and Former, 3594 tip on invoice. Mail for the Office of Community and Economic Development. Picked up, sorted, and filed. And the Rail Summit for 2023, save the date.
Thank you. Thank you. Minutes from our last meeting. Motion to approve. Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Aye. Next item is the treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report is today, for those payments is $183,360. US 421 number 2 is 0. The KIEC fund, $50,795. And the 39 North, $57,400.
What's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
Second. You have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. Claims in the KIDC TIF, MCR Partners, December professional services in the amount of $3,000. Thomas and Associates, November professional services in the amount of $640.25. And this is the transfer from the redevelopment transfer to professional services in the amount of $3,333.33. So,
Go ahead.
motion to approve the claim.
Second.
Motion is second. It's a total of $6,973.58. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? This transfer, just for clarification, the transfer is covering the bills and this is the loan that we're doing. Just so everybody's aware.
It's just.
All right, never mind. Yep, you're right, you're right.
But what are we doing then?
This is his portion, I know, his contribution. Next is the US 421 TIF, Thomas and Associates, November professional services in the amount of $640.25. MCR Partners, December 20, professional services in the amount of $2,000. Weaver Consultant Group invoice 49943. Acquire easements in the amount of $368. Weaver Consultant Group invoice 50858. Acquire easements in the amount of $109. Weaver Consultant Group invoice 62170. Easement procurement in the amount of $14,084.55. B&M Excavating 421 Utility Project contract, pay number 8 in the amount of $31,280, and the transfer for Mitch Bishop in the amount of $333,333.33 for a total of $51,815.13.
Motion to approve. I got a question before we approve it. Is this the final invoicing for Weaver? All three of these? There is no more. Could be. This is it? Yeah. Okay, very good. I'll second the motion.
All right, you have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
Next one is the 39 North, MCR Partners, December professional services in $1,000. Herald Dispatch, legal publication in the amount of $22.85.
I got a question or a comment. It has to do with the claims for sender and B&T. So what we had done was borrow the money. The idea is borrow the funds from 39 TIF to fund the 35. Subsequent to that, we found out from Phil from Barnes that probably the more appropriate method would have been to use 42194 because that's inter-serving the district. They're connected. So I'll leave it up to the council. The claims do need to be paid. We can continue this way. It makes it a little clunky for the state board of accounts. The other way, it's clean. It can come out of 421 and 94 fund, which has 183,360 remaining in it. So we can kind of clean that up without a resolution. Or you could do it this way.
Can we do that without it being advertised?
Well, I don't believe that we can, so that would take another month, or we could do it this way. Everything we're doing here is appropriate. It's duly noted. The resolution reflects the borrowing, and that funding would get paid back. So
At this point, shouldn't we leave it like we are?
I just wanted to make you aware of that. I'm in favor of just leaving it like this.
Just leave it the way it is on here?
Yes.
And then next month we
And next one, so we can transfer. Yeah. All right, got it.
We should make a note from the change to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so Herald Dispatch, no, appreciate it. in the amount of $22.85. Friedman and Associates, December legal, in the amount of $1,500. Barnes and Thornburg, invoice 3028667, professional services in the amount of $22,618.20. Sender, municipal advisors, invoice 9359, professional services in $343.23. Sender and Associates, invoice 9055, professional services in the amount of $675. And Sender and Associates, invoice 9212, professional services in the amount of $1,013.61. And the transfer from each bishop's pay is $3,333.34 for a total of $30,506.73.
Motion to approve. Second.
The motion is second. Is there any questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Total claims tonight is $89,294.94. Next item is D&M Excavating, pay application number 8 in the amount of $95,537.85.
Motion to approve.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Is there any questions on this one? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Old business, 421 I-94 TIP project, Matt Rears.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Outstanding items related to the project have to do with funding. Is the contribution from the developer, which we should receive by the end of the year. We also need to sign the agreement with the landfill company, Waste Management, so we can get the $150,000. And as project contributors, I think it's part of the packet tonight. And if we can get that accomplished, that would be good. We'll make sure that we stay on the developer about their contribution to the project. John's here to talk a little bit about where they're at. The contractor's also here, Mr. Miller, to answer any questions you might have as well. There's a request to extend the project. I talked with our team. We're not opposed. We just want to let the developer, or excuse me, the contractor know that there's $1,000 a day penalty for extending beyond that. So it's okay. I think you get one chance, and I think that's fair. With the supply chain issues and other challenges in the construction arena, two of you gentlemen up there certainly can attest to more than most. So we're amenable to that. But I'll turn it over to John or Ben. Ben Beer here from USI also. I want to see John operate those projects. Get up there.
Good evening, everyone. John Smith, USI Consultants. Next couple of weeks, contractor's plan is to be all the way up to 421 with water main. And then the sewer has already crossed 300 and they're heading down 421. They tied in to the crossing that goes across the speedway for Harley Davidson. The only hiccup I could see with the time extension is if AT&T does not get the utilities moved. I call them monthly. I'm going to call them the first of the month again of January. When I talked to them this month, they said NIPSCO needs to move a pole. So that was 4 weeks from when they met with NIPSCO out there, and all of AT&T has a preliminary drawings finished, and I'm hoping by the end of January all that stuff is moved. We won't have any hiccups.
How are you doing on parts and pieces?
For me, not good.
I know you. Do they have all the parts and pieces for the sewer and the water?
The water's still,
Some things on hold.
the water's still waiting on 2,600 feet.
Okay.
And yeah, and our last progress meeting, Ryan stated that they're planning on production of 20-inch water main start of the year. So I don't know how soon from production. Ryan can probably answer that better. But
So if that stuff is produced and we get it, how much longer before the project's over? Or we're done?
well, they have to cross 300 again with the asphalt plants being closed. They won't be able to do that till maybe mid-March, put stone down. So that way people aren't driving over that. And that'd be that last stretch down 421.
Okay. All right, thank you.
As long as the winter's not too harsh, we'll keep going minus the AT&T part.
Okay.
And I'll try to jump over that with the water main, but with sewer, I don't really want to do that and screw myself later in life. So, last I've been informed, the ductile iron ship or get put into production the first week of January. So they're hoping that they make enough 20-inch in that run to fulfill the rest of the order.
And AT&T is still a delay by the time they could jump over, work that way up to that intersection, so.
But that's why I asked the question, because I know we've been having trouble getting pipe, so. Thank you.
Mr. President, if I could, just a clarification, perhaps the board can make clear with some sort of a motion to Mr. Miller to make very clear and place in the record the fact that in November, Mr. Smith, as construction manager, project manager for USI, indicated to Mr. Miller very clearly that they were by the Redevelopment Commission overseeing the 300 North Sewer Extension. On November 10th, 2022 at 12:45, who informed Williams Excavating Ryan Miller to stop using material from the 400 West property, sand from the disputed property on 400 West that is the subject of litigation, not to use it at this particular site. We've had to reassure the neighbors repeatedly that that is not the intention of the Redevelopment Commission to have sand removed from that location. And so that this project doesn't get enmeshed in that litigation, I would ask you to go on record simply recognizing Mr. Smith's letter, his confirmation that that has been made very clear to Mr. Miller. He was not to use sand from the disputed location, which is the subject of a stop work order. It's the subject of litigation currently. That's not the intent of the Redevelopment Commission. He was to source that sand from other sources, but not that location. What's your pleasure?
Is it in the form of a motion to support the letter?
It simply,
Use the right word.
yes, it would. But that is an clear direction to Mr. Miller of the Redevelopment Commission to have this letter part of your record that John Smith gave Mr. Reach, and that it is the intent of the Redevelopment Commission that the source of sand for this project not be the disputed location on 400 West, which is the subject of a stop work order issued by another county department.
So it's a motion to support on the letter from John Smith dated 11/10/2022 to specifically not use sand from the specific property that is under subject to a lawsuit.
Yes, specifically, he verbally informed Mr. Miller of this on November 10th, and then he confirmed it in a letter on December 8th. So that's what you can do
To direct Mr. Miller to do excluding not to use any of that sand.
That's correct.
From that location.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those aye. Thank you. All right, next item.
Before we move on, I'll work with the USI team and Mr. Miller on AT&T. I'll just contact Steve Rogers directly from their government affairs office. I know where to find him in the next 4 months. He'll be down in Indianapolis, so it'll be easy to run into. He's also a LaPortean, so we may have a little bit of maybe be able to get their attention on the matter. But yeah, Steve's a good egg. We'll work together, make sure we can get that accomplished.
Great. Next item is KIP update.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The various business entities at Kingsbury Industrial Park are working together. I had a meeting with them 2 weeks ago regarding the continuation of the trackage between Mr. Limborg's property at CN and Bridge. The design for that portion is ongoing. There was a meeting with the Markman Pete team, and they're working out their differences amongst themselves. I reiterated to them in the meeting that the county and its various entities had expended plenty of millions of dollars at the location. It was time for the private sector to step up again and work together. So there will be a resolution between Markman Pete and Kingsbury Elevator, and we'll move forward with the project without that. The reason I popped up here pretty quickly about KIP, two things. One is the discussion, and I brought it up at our last meeting to go to the county council in January regarding a fund to build the CSX switch. So I haven't drafted the paperwork that will officially marry our partnership with JBC Rail and Limburg, whereby if the project or if anything happens, whatever it be, those two entities write the county a check for the amount of money for the project. So to be clear, and I said, the only way that I would consider even bringing this to the council for consideration would be if you guaranteed the payment. They said, oh, gee, Matt, we'll have the rail traffic will take care of it. And I said, well, I certainly hope so, but that's not going to sell, and I wouldn't recommend it. So just making sure that this body is informed. Also, in compliance and all the paperwork for the grant fund for the bridge has been submitted and we're ready to go. Talking with Facenda about how to proceed. It's his opinion, legal opinion, that we can continue on with our build, operate, transfer statute. We identified the bridge as part of the project area in the original documentation. It will need to be updated to move forward with that project. So that's the Kingsbury story.
What do they estimate in the CSX switch costing? Since it's sitting,
$500,000.
since it's sitting there,
They told me $500,000.
it's sitting.
I agree.
So CSX spent $500,000 to put it in and take it out?
What the information I have from CSX is that they will only require payment for actual expenses. To which I replied, well, gee whiz, we sure like to see your design and your hours and your cost for what you're going to put in.
So CSX has to be the one putting it
Be
in.
the contract. Correct.
Mr. President, we've heard the same story now for about 15 years. That switch is sitting up there, a few years back. They put that switch in so they could pull their cars on off the rail inside Kingsbury. And we gave permission, this body gave them permission to do that. And that's the switch that's sitting out there, but other than that's a switch, from where I understand it, that was going to be a permanent switch. That's a different switch. So I don't think we actually have the switch out there that they're talking about, unless something's changed.
I don't have any specifications for what they're going to do. I was just told it's about $500,000 that they would only quote unquote charge for what it cost. And I said, that all sounds great. We need a guarantee from Limburg or JBC or whoever that in 3 years, if the rail traffic that you guys, that being you guys being JBC and Limburg say is going to occur and create revenue for us, doesn't appear, they're just going to write us a check. And that's what's going to happen. And if that means that we have to create an escrow account where the money's in there so we don't have to haggle, fight, race to the courthouse, all that nonsense, then we do it. I made it very clear that the level of interest in continued government subsidy of the business operations at Kingsbury needs to come to an end here. We've prepped everything and it's ready to go.
It would really have to be ironclad. I mean, because
Yeah, simpler the best.
Yeah. All right.
We will receive revenue in an amount exceeding the cost, or you will pay by this date. I mean, that's simple.
Right.
No mitigating factors, no, it's anybody else's fault, no weather, no COVID, no, can't get the pipes, no nothing. If it's not there, you pay.
Or the change of management at CSX. We've seen that as court indicates how many times, all of a sudden, look at the change in management and the direction change. So we'll get a variety of provisos in there so they can't get out of it.
Yep.
At the end of the day, it's really on Jim Carroll and them. They've got to put something together that's viable for LaPorte County.
They do.
So,
Yeah,
or CSX won't come to town.
correct.
They won't have a use.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, even if they put it up and they get paid back by the revenue. How about if they put it up instead of us getting paid back by the revenue? You know what I'm saying?
I do. I asked that. They said, gee whiz, Matt, we're putting in the track to get to the bridge right now.
It's a track to your place.
Gotcha. I can
Doesn't go to my house. Right.
I can definitely bring that back to their attention and say, we think you should just front fund the money and do it.
Right,
Okay.
and you'll get paid back.
Yeah, and you'll get paid back, just like you told me.
We're so sure about it. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, we could just remove that unknown from the equation.
We'll see. We'll have to work on it.
Yes,
To be
I would say.
continued.
Okay.
All right, 39 North.
I don't have any updates other than the transaction we were hopeful fell through. I talked with Tony Kaz. The deal didn't work. They were going to buy the 100 acres. There was some communication back and forth with 39 North's engineer regarding the project. They identified, indicated that there was adequate water for what they needed. And I guess the issue was they had a better site. And so it's still for sale. That's all I have. Shaw, do you have anything?
Nothing new on
to add?
water tower?
Just that we've got the lobbyists from Barnes and Thornburg who are retained by 39 North exploring the different buckets that are available for infrastructure funds. And they've got both the DC and Indianapolis lobbyists identifying probably the best prospect to go after. And so we'll keep everybody updated on that. Since the EDA grant didn't work out, B&T has identified a couple of large buckets of water infrastructure money, and they'll let us know which ones they're suggesting that 39 North go after in tandem with this board.
Definitely. And just so everybody knows, the assisted living facility, it's my understanding that negotiations, I've kind of brokered some meetings there with the city and Center Township. There's still a couple of little things that need to be ironed out, but it looks as though it's going to proceed. So at least that'll be, when it's done and completed, it'll be a great thing for LaPorte County, but it'll also be bringing in revenue out there. So.
Yes, it will.
Well, and to your credit, Mr. President, you've been viewed as a good, honest broker, because this has been easy bringing different folks together on this, but the same thing's been reported to the 39 North board that you've got agreement now and things hopefully will.
Yep, I think we're getting real close. Definitely. 3594, Matt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've, as you are aware of the contentious situation with regard to the ability to procure utilities at this location and other locations outside of the city of Michigan City. The city council cleaned up their ordinance. It indicates that the sanitary only process would be to sign a waiver stating that you will not fight voluntary annexation and
future
in 15 to 15 years. And it's related to sanitary, and then that gets presented to the city council for their approval. So for this project and the other project that's located on the northeast corner of the interchange, I've requested from the council 2 waivers so that each project, they can sign them or we can move on. I know HWC is continuing with the optimum design review. They're working with the airport board because they're also doing some activity related to the airport and continuing utilities. So I said, let's not miss that opportunity to connect all that stuff together on Mere Road. Why not? So they're continuing. However, I also sense that there's a bit of a disconnect between what's happening with the sanitary and the water department. You can't have one without the other. And so that's the challenge today is when you have department heads who are a little bit gun shy about having, professional meetings about, utility projects, things will take a little bit longer, unfortunately. So that's the situation. Hopefully once the next year, the council is got their sea legs under them about the sanitary, they'll address the water issue too.
But the meeting you had with the city went well? They want the project to move forward?
Yeah, all that we heard, and Tony was sitting there, was our intention was never to stop any projects. I said, okay, great. So let's not. And that was it. They said they clean it up. Their intention was never to do that. They talked briefly about the planning issues that they had, some concerns they had about planning outside of the city. And I politely directed their planner and their economic development staff that if they had questions about the unified UDO, that they bring those concerns to the county plan commission and they take the appropriate steps that people do when they're trying to have zoning and planning changed. Now, if they'll do that, that'll be great. But for now, no. We haven't.
And everything's still moving forward with the project as of right now?
Yes.
Great.
Yep. So the other part, and I'm just going to give the group a quick primer. This is going to move probably pretty fast. Once the medical facility gets going, and that's a $40 million project. I think our minutes reflected last time. I think Mary Jane had 4, but this is like a $40 million deal. The request for assistance for water and sewer is there. We have the engineering and design. It opens up the next quadrant, which is exactly what's in your plan. Continue on, move goalpost and keep going. And that's what's being proposed here. So that opens up the 120 jobs at, with $26 to $30 an hour. Good project, taxable medical project. The developer would purchase the bonds. We should be able to, I certainly know with our bond team, be able to separate out that. I know we have an existing bond, but we can, set up another allocation area if necessary and do that. So that's coming your way. I've heard, their design is getting through. They're going back and forth on cost at this juncture.
Right.
Yep.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Move on to new business, D&M change order number 9.
Yeah, I guess I'll cover that. That's especially before you in your packet, that's regarding the time extension that Matt brought up earlier in the meeting. And big extension is 6 months. And as he said before, you heard the reasons why. And Miller was also having reasons for John. So we urge you to approve that.
Motion to approve. We have a motion. Is there a second? Second. The motion and a second. Excuse me. Any other questions or comments on that one? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Consideration of Deercroft landfill sewer connection
Leachate
discharge agreement. A fancy way of saying sewer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We don't control the leachate or where it goes or what we do. We don't have a sewer plant. This is related to the city of Michigan City, and they're dealing with the leachate at the Deercroft landfill facility in their agreement. This body is just signatory because the project is ours. Thank you. That's it.
All right. So we need a motion to approve that. To approve. Second. And a second. Motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Aye. Thank you. Next item, consideration of resolution number 7, authorizing the Burke County Auditor to transfer TIF funds to 2023 planner payroll fund. This is to cover Mitch. Motion to approve next year. We have a motion. Second. And a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Consider resolution number 8, authorizing I-94 US 30 economic development area related claims to be expended from the 39 North TIF, said amount to be reimbursed for such claims from the I-94 35 economic development area. We just talked about this.
Yes, sir.
That is something that's okay for us to do, correct?
Yes, sir.
Then I'll make a motion, we approve it.
Second it. Motion and second. Is there any other questions on that one? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Consideration of next year's meeting schedule.
Motion to approve.
Is it in there?
It is.
Is the schedule in there?
The first one would be January 25th.
Motion to approve. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, depending on how it works out, probably have a workshop before that meeting and at
Right.
least have, if there's going to be new members participating, at least to get them up to speed on what's happening, give them a big fat copy of how Indiana's Code 36714 works and all the other various sundry items that you all have accumulated over the past couple of years.
Right.
All right.
Well, the council meets on the 9th. So it'll probably be the week of the 15th, somewhere in there.
Such it.
All right. So we'll, everybody stay tuned. There'll be something coming on that.
And the commission meeting reorganization is the week before, I believe.
Third. Yeah.
Fourth. Looking fourth?
Fourth to Wednesday. Fourth.
Tuesday is a Monday, so the fourth would be the Wednesday.
Any other business?
Just Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays to everybody. It's been a blast.
Absolutely.
Got a lot accomplished in 2022.
Indeed.
Mr. President, if I could real quick, I want to thank LaPorte County for allowing me to serve on the redevelopment commission for the last 4, 5, 6 years. Not sure I'll be back, but I want to thank everybody for that. And number two, whether I'm in this committee or not, I will support LaPorte County and help in any way that I can. So you understand that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for everybody and all the hard work that everybody's done. As Matt stated, we've accomplished an awful lot. We got things moving forward at ALP. We got the project going at 421 and 300 and expanding, getting things done. So real happy with the way things turned out this year. So any other business?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Be well.
Merry Christmas.